Baltimore Community Center press conference. Judge George?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here, and I greatly appreciate this morning. You're being here. I wanted to thank our partners, especially CenterPoint, our county leaders, and those who committed to strengthening and making Fort Bend County more resilient, and we are more prepared to deal with any kind of emergencies. And Hurricane Beryl lately, and of course this all started even for me, uh, so many numerous hurricane events in Fort Bend County, and that all led us to believe it is important. We never can prepare too much, and we need to be constantly preparing better so that we could deal with these emergencies, because our counties continue to grow exponentially. Our top priority is ensuring the safety and well-being of our citizens, and in case of any emergencies, I should say, strategic partnership like this will help us better serve and protect our community, as you all can understand. Fort Bend County and CenterPoint Energy have joined forces to implement a comprehensive resiliency plan focused on safety, responsiveness, and community welfare. It is so relevant. In a month and a half, we are going to move into a hurricane preparedness month, and from June onwards, it's going to be hurricane season. So it is timely, this conversation. As part of this partnership, CenterPoint Energy has generously donated 2 generators for critical shelters and resource centers. And you have to understand, we are always in need of these kind of resources when any kind of emergency happens. And these generators will ensure that vital services remain operational when our residents need the most. And these efforts will strengthen our emergency response infrastructure and improve our ability to support our residents during disasters, as I mentioned before. Fort Bend County is committed to working with organizers and leaders who share our goal of disaster preparedness. This partnership is a significant step forward in our mission to build a safer and more resilient Fort Bend County. And I'd like to, at this point, to invite our Office of Emergency Management Coordinator, Greg Babs, who is a vital individual, a vital source to disaster preparedness and response effort across Fort Bend County. His expertise ensure that our community is continue to be ready to engage in any kind of emergency and deal with it. And I will invite Greg Babs to make a comment.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, everyone, for being here at the press conference today, and thank you, CenterPoint, and all the stakeholders that the Emergency Operations Center has in coordination for any type of disaster that we might come across, knowing that Texas has every disaster that we come across. So, again, I want to thank everybody enjoying this beautiful day. Thank goodness it's not 105 degrees out here, and you guys are getting to enjoy some good weather. With that, under the 5 mission areas, under the National Incident Management System, preparedness is one of the largest ones. After every disaster, we look at how we responded. What did we do well and what did we not do well? Underneath that, that's called an after-action plan, and then we put into a scenario of events for preparedness improvement plans. And one of those improvement plans, we work with this stakeholder, this key stakeholder in this event of Beryl. And it came across that, hey, we could use some more power when it gets destroyed throughout the county, and getting our citizens areas to go to, such as shelters or centers, to get away from the elements after a disaster. And with that, there was discussion, and gratefully our stakeholder CenterPoint said, hey, we've got some generators we could give you to support some of those areas that you have generators for, but we could get a more stable environment there for you, so we're not rolling out equipment. We can put that equipment somewhere else through the county for deployability. So with that, I want to thank CenterPoint in joining us and bringing these resources to the county. It's going to be a huge lift in preparedness. We've already got plans in place to exercise some of these areas right now for our shelter operations and warming centers leading into hurricane season, like Judge said. Underneath the judge's directions, he's heavily involved in saying, hey, keep those stakeholders at our fingertips and let's find out a better way to do business. And that's what we're doing. We work with the stakeholder, put these generators in key locations throughout the county so that citizens will have that availability to be able to use these resources in the time of need. Another one of those efforts at the Emergency Operations Center and the team that I have that work underneath me, the 15 outstanding individuals, is response coordination. We put all the departments to come into the EOC to coordinate these efforts every single disaster, and we put these departments in those key areas to, again, coordinate with those stakeholders. And again, we're exercising those every single day, reviewing our plans and making sure that we are better prepared, so if we go into another type of hazard, that we're responsive. Another thing after Beryl, CenterPoint jumped on it and they said, hey Greg, would you guys like to be a part of this build of this resiliency program that we're gonna put forth and make this area, better for those types of responses? And my team was like, absolutely. Let's be a part of this. Let's jump on every coordination call, and that's what we've done. Almost every month we've sat on coordination calls. They've reviewed their plans. They've showed us exactly where they're going to benefit Fort Bend County, and then we get to give that guidance and give that, hey, yes, that looks good, or hey, have you thought about this? We had this during Beryl, or we had this during a disaster, and those after action plans. I've been able to put that into their plan, and they've been very receptive in listening to that local guidance. So huge thank you again to CenterPoint and allowing us to be part of that response coordination and that resiliency program moving forward. And then again, the last a bit of this is knowing that, hey, how are we going to do better with these generators? Note this, that Parks Department here in Fort Bend County is a huge footprint when it comes to sheltering, along with Health and Human Resources. And they gave us some guidance and said, hey, there's some key locations. The building behind you is a county building, and Parks Department and that leadership that runs inside this Parks Department said, hey, we are always here. We're always ready to respond whenever you have shelter needs. And so we said, hey, there isn't a generator there. We do have deployable generators that we send out here, but that's timely and takes effort. We can put those generators somewhere else. And they were offered up, hey, let's put it on this building. Let's make it happen, make it a dedicated shelter area. And so that's what Landmark will be. And we're greatly appreciative underneath the Emergency Management Office and the Emergency Operations Center to have these resources. Again, thank you for the direction, Judge, and thank you to my team.
Thank you, Greg, and I greatly appreciate your leadership in this effort. And also, we are standing here in Precinct 2. My colleague, Commissioner Grady Prestige, I wanted to recognize him and his effort in this. Whatever we are trying to do, he's always been out there, and I see that our state representative, Ron Renner, Ron, hi. He didn't even hear. Okay, that's okay. And so it shows, our elected officials are interested in seeing what is going on. And Ron, I was saying hi. Thank you for being here. And so I wanted to recognize Commissioner Prestige and his contribution for sure. And now, at this point, I wanted to invite June Redbrick from CenterPoint to, they are our key partners, and make a few remarks. June?
Thank you, Judge George, and thank you, Representative Reynolds, for being here. I also want to give special thanks to the team here at the Landmark Community Center, not only for hosting us out here today, but for hosting us during our open houses here. We had a wonderful open house here at Landmark Community Center. Lots of folks came out, and we truly appreciate you always being willing to work with us and being a partner here. We want to thank everyone who has helped to support the community resilience here in Fort Bend County and across our service territory. We want everyone to know that CenterPoint is committed to improving the resiliency of our energy infrastructure, as well as the resiliency of our local communities. We are also committed to working closely with our county and city leaders and our community partners to achieve this important goal. When we first announced our Greater Houston Resiliency Initiative, we pledged to focus on strengthening those partnerships and working together with elected officials and offices of emergency management to improve resiliency across our service territory. Through these partnerships, the CenterPoint Energy Foundation has been donating funds for a total of 21 backup generators to key community facilities in the 12 counties that we are privileged to serve. Today, we're announcing the donation of the 2 generators to 2 key facilities here in Fort Bend County. The 1 generator here that will be installed at the Landmark Community Center, and another that will be placed at the Pecan Grove Sports Complex down in Richmond. Our event today marks our 10th donation, and we have many more to come. This community center will receive a generator that will serve the facility and the community prior to the 2025 hurricane season. We are working with communities across Greater Houston to determine the best locations for the backup generators that will support the neighborhoods and help critical community partners keep the lights on during major weather events or other emergencies. They are funded again through a $5 million grant from the CenterPoint Energy Foundation at no cost to our customers. The facilities that receive the donated backup generators will be able to better serve their communities during outages, acting as hubs for essential services like medical care, cooling stations, water and food distribution, charging stations, and other critical services for the constituents. To ensure that the donated generators meet the local community needs, CenterPoint worked closely with our county emergency management officials and other elected officials to identify select ideal locations where the critical facilities would receive these donations. Over the coming months, we will continue our coordination with local community partners to ensure that the backup generators meet the specific needs of the critical facilities they have identified. As I mentioned, our commitment is to have all backup generators operational by June 1st, 2025, to ensure added resiliency for the 2025 hurricane season. But I want to be clear, it's not just community generators. We are also installing or replacing 25,000 new poles, conducting 4,000 miles of high-risk vegetation management, and adding more than 4,500 automated devices to help reduce the number and the duration of outages across our region. In one easy sentence, we are building the electric grid that can take a punch and get right back up. All of these actions will benefit our local communities, will help reduce outages for our customers during major storms, and on those blue sky days when we have outages. Thank you all again for your partnership. Thank you for the work for our communities, and we appreciate everything that you're doing.
Thank you, June. And I just wanted to say this: we hear so many things especially in the middle of emergencies, but CenterPoint is always been a phenomenal partner. You have a presence in our OEM, Office of Emergency Management, and we are always working very closely with you, and I appreciate your support and your partnership in our county. And at this time, I wanted to invite the Director of Park and Recreation, Darren McCarthy, whose department is essential in ensuring that our community spaces, including emergency shelters, are equipped to serve the residents when they need the most. Dan?
Thank you, Judge. That was explained really well. A lot of you are probably wondering what Parks is doing here, but the Parks Department is in charge of community centers like the one behind me. So normally during events that we have to prepare for, the Parks Department is in touch with the Office of Emergency Management. The Office of Emergency Management, for example, it's not going to happen, this is hypothetical. We had a heat wave coming next week, and we needed to turn Landmark into a cooling center. Office of Emergency Management would coordinate that with Parks through emails and texts and phone calls, letting us know that they're tracking this weather system. We at Landmark would prepare by letting our people renting the facility know, hey, we may need to change this into a cooling center next week. If it does come to pass that we do have to set up a cooling center, then we may or may not cancel those activities, and then we would determine how we would staff the cooling center. So we would work with the park staff as well as all of the other departments within the county to make sure that the cooling center is staffed. One of the big challenges that we've had in the past few years since Landmark has been open is that if the power goes out, especially when we're trying to create a cooling center, this building becomes extremely hot. Not to mention, if you're here in the evening and the lights are out, it's kind of scary inside. So it'd be nice to have the lights on. It'd be nice to have the cooling center fully operational and having a backup that we know will be there when we need it. So it's going to be tremendous asset to the residents of Fort Bend County. And on behalf of the Parks Department and all the county, we really can't thank CenterPoint enough for choosing Landmark and choosing the Congrove Sports Hub as locations for these centers. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Darren. And actually, like I said, we work with all jurisdictions. We work with our elected officials. We work with our partners. And I have we are joined by our state representative for District 27, which is right here, District 27. Ron, you wanted to say a few words?
Thank you, Judge George. It's great to be back. I just got in early today from Austin, and I want to thank CenterPoint Energy for their generous donation. I have served and currently serving on Energy Resources, which is the committee that is designed to work with ERCOT and the PUC and the Texas Railroad Commission that has nothing to do with railroads but oil and gas. But the point I'm making is our committee is there to make sure that we have resiliency. And sometimes things happen and we need backup generation. And I want to thank CenterPoint for their generosity. CenterPoint has always been it is great to have a place where our community can go to know that they can receive essential services like power, and where we can have food and other necessities, where people can shelter. And sometimes this is a matter of life and death because some people they need oxygen, they need other critical things. So CenterPoint, thank you for being a great community partner, a great stakeholder, for having this right here at the Landmark, which is a beacon in my district. And I want to thank Commissioner Prestidge in his absence and Judge George for always thinking about ways that we can better serve our community in the events of an emergency. So again, thank you CenterPoint, thank you Fort Bend County. This is a great partnership, and I think that we are confident with this here in our community. We will be prepared in the event of an unfortunate power outage. So we're doing everything we can at the state. We're going to continue to partner with Fort Bend County and our private sector like CenterPoint to make sure that our community's needs are met. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The reason I asked Ron to say a few words because people need to know that we work with all jurisdictions. We work with every elected official. When we had issues, you were able to make that phone call, and we were able to come together. And I just 6-7 years ago, one of the reason I decided to run for this position to become the county judge was emergency management, Hurricane Harvey, if you remember. And we came a long way. Fort Bend County is so much prepared. And emergencies happen, storms can happen, all that thing can happen, but we are in a much better shape today than ever before. And I just wanted to say in closing, I wanted to thank CenterPoint again for their generosity and commitment. Thank you to our emergency management team and local officials for their dedication, as you heard from them. Together, we will continue working to enhance disaster preparedness to protect our people in Fort Bend County. Collectively, we all came together to make our county a better place for our citizens and even the future residents and our next generation. That's our goal. Thank you for joining us this morning. And once again, this concludes this presentation. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that concludes the press conference. Thank you so much.